What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. So in this video, I just want to come through for a quick moment and talk about the whole Jodie Turner-Smith situation, about her proposing to her old stale saltine cracker now husband, Joshua Jackson, aka Pacey from Dawson's Creek. Does Dawson's Creek air on television anymore? Hmm. Just wondering. And also, I want to talk about the situation with that dude who's marrying, his saltine cracker Jack Becky, and doing all these like plantation slave theme photos for their wedding, and sort of just compare the two situations here. So you know, quick and first, I want to talk about the situation with Jodie Turner-Smith. So, Joshua Jackson was doing an interview very recently, and he wound up saying that Jodie Turner-Smith, his wife, proposed to him. And as we all know, it's usually like tradition, right? Traditionally, the man proposes to the woman. Now, we all know that people nowadays ain't really following traditions as much as they used to, right? But still, even the people who do kind of stray away from tradition still kind of try and be traditional about at least some things, right? And I think this would probably be one of those things that those people would be traditional about, but, that is on a person by person basis, right? So this kind of hit the media and hit social media, especially black social media, and folks had some things to say, you know, as folks really do, just always have something to say. And I'll say that, I don't think it's like the best look, I'll be honest. He said that she was adamant. I'm not quite sure what that means. I guess she was like, she had him by his collar, like, look, you gonna marry me. All right, you gonna marry me. I ain't gonna be no baby mama now. You gonna marry me. You gonna put a ring on this finger, right? And I feel like that's sort of how some people may have took it. Um, or either she was begging, like, please, white daddy, please, saltine cracker daddy, please marry me. Please don't send me back to Blackistan. Please. I can't take it over there. And the thing is, like, if you're going to be swirling, and hey, if you're going to swirl until you hurl. But if you're going to be swirling, you shouldn't be trading Blackistan for Crackistan. If you're going to be swirling, you need to be trading up Blackistan so that you can go to Swirltopia. If you're going to be swirling, you need to be making sure that it is worth your while and that you're going to be in a good situation. Granted, nothing's perfect. So there's going to be issues, of course, and there's going to be things that come up. But overall, you need to make sure that you're in a good situation. And maybe Jodie Turner-Smith is in a good situation. Maybe. And maybe this is just the one thing that's just a bit different, right? Because I think if we all go through if like people were to go through everybody's relationship, I'm pretty sure you would find something that would be a bit like, that's a bit weird. Oh, that's something. So I feel like that is sort of like, to an extent, probably present in the majority of relationships. It's just that people tend to make sure they don't announce it as well as put it on record in the media, right? But yeah, Jodie Turner-Smith, she proposed to, her snow daddy. And, if it works for her, I guess then that's what we can say. Hey, it works for her. Hopefully they're in a good situation there, you know. Um, and then there was another situation that happened. Well, before I get into that, I'll say that, folks in Blackistan, the black community, we're having some things to say and, sort of ragging on Jodie Turner Smith, and it wasn't a good look for the black women who swirl, it wasn't really a good look for them. Folks love to attack that segment, definitely. And I feel like, you know, when the swirling black woman does something that is considered to be a faux pas, it's taken a lot more extreme. It's taken a lot more seriously than, say, if a black man was doing something while swirling and it was a faux pas. I mean, just case in point, like Kanye West. Like, Kanye West should have been canceled from the things that he's done over the years that were considered to be anti-black, right? But it's like, it's an excuse for some reason. Or, oh, well, let's just ignore that. It's not a big deal. Oh, he's been grieving. Like, his mother's been dead for years. I'm not trying to be insensitive about that, but his mother has been deceased for years. I really don't think that's really the issue there. But, folks will just come up with anything to excuse it, though, right? And then also, when Kanye West is out here wilding because he having some bipolar episode or something, then it's like, oh, he need a strong black woman by his side. Oh, yeah, that's what happened when you don't got a strong black woman, right? And, not saying that there's no truth in that, but I'm just saying, like, oh, that's when you kind of like realize the black woman's worth, right? That's when people want to push, oh, you should be with a black woman, right? But when everything's all good in the hood and going well, then it's like, oh no, we don't need the black woman then, right? But they don't really put these same requirements, or they don't really look to the non-black women to be offering that, this, sound mind that the black woman can offer, this hold you down that the black woman can offer, right? But that was a bit of a tangent, a bit of a rant there. Well, this whole video is kind of a rant. But also I want to talk about, that whole antebellum plantation slave theme wedding photo shoot that was done recently that hit the net, and the folks was all like, whoa, he Dominican. He ain't no black man. He ain't no black American man. He Dominican. So that ain't our problem. Well, isn't Jodie Turner Smith like from Great Britain? Like England specifically, I think. So she would be either British. I guess she would still be English and or British. Or one of the two. I'm not sure how they do it over there, but she would at least be British. I don't know if she's from England. I'm assuming that she is, so she could be English as well. But Jodie Turner Smith is not, a black American woman. But the thing is, her faux pas still falls on black American women, honestly, to an extent, if they swirl, but almost even if they don't swirl, it's still like, oh, let's take a shot at black women, even if they ain't in swirl world. But this dude, he was doing all these like plantation themed photos, taking all these plantation themed photos with, his saltine Becky. He acting like he done found the golden Becky or something, and taking all these photos like he winning or something. And it's like, no, that's not really a good look. And the thing is, when these photos hit the media and hit social media and all that, folks are going to take the photos at face value. So it's not really going to be like, well, he ain't like a black. He kind of like a kind of black. He kind of like a Afro Latino. He a Dominican. The folks ain't really gonna be doing that. That when the imagery hits, when the imagery hits, it's just gonna hit, right? And the imagery is a black man participating in slavery themed photos, a slavery themed wedding with a Caucasian woman. And again, if you're gonna be swirling, all right, swirling till you hurl. But if you're gonna be swirling, why are you trading up Blackistan for Crackistan? Especially in this situation, really, this is like a slavery Crackistan. So you're gonna go over there, leave Blackistan, go over there and be a slave for Rebecca and her family, and then Rebecca and her family finally deemed you human enough, you know, enough of a human to become an official part of the family. Really, they was treating you like the family dog, but now they're like, well, okay, well, you can marry her. All right, you can become a part of the family now. You know, you can eat at the dinner table. We ain't throwing your scraps no more. You know, you can take pictures in the family photos. You know, this, that, and the third, right? And considering that he's participating in these photos and considering that she's also participating in these photos too, I'm pretty sure he's kind of a bit, far gone. You know, perhaps he can be saved. I really don't think, especially no black women, should be trying to come through and, start a Save a Coon Foundation. You know, Black mothers against coon sons. And it's probably going to be a black woman who's going to try to save the day. Because, black women got to come through because we the backbone of the black community. The black woman, she done holding it down for years and years and years. Sure enough now. And, not to say that there's no truth in that. But at one point or another, you just kind of have to just let it go. Just let it go. But in comparing these two situations, the Jodie Turner-Smith situation with the Antebellum boy situation, it seems like people are more apt to sort of find a way to excuse Antebellum boy versus Jodie Turner-Smith, and they're using the excuse that he is not a black American so that they don't have to quote unquote take responsibility. Now, particularly, this is like black men on social media's argument, right? And this argument has been done before. It's just been remixed. Usually it's like, oh, well, that's a Pookie and Ray Ray, right? Oh, well, he is non-American, right? Oh, well, he's a homosexual. Oh, well, he's one of those Hollywood types. Oh, well, um, he's from Pluto. He's from Mars. Oh, he's from Antarctica. He one of them Antarctican Negroes. Right? It's something. It's something that they can pull, and use to excuse the situation. And that wouldn't be so bad if folks could kind of like give black women at least some of that leeway. It's almost like this one black woman, no matter if she is, in Hollywood, out of Hollywood, a swirler, a non-swirler, American, non-American, from Antarctica or from South Detroit, whatever. It's like, no matter what, she will be a representative. If negative, she will be a representative of all the black women out there, right? Heck, even if she's like biracial, they'll like, oh yeah, she black. If it's negative, oh, she black. Oh yeah, that's what black women do. Yeah, but when it's positive, then all of a sudden it's a different story, right? We know that. We know the game that these folks be running. And it just comes from a place of just anti-blackness, particularly, anti-black woman. Some people refer to it as misogynoir, right? um, but I guess I've said all that I have to say for the time being about these situations. I guess. I think. Do I have anything else to say? Um, I guess one thing that I can say that I think applies to both of these situations, as well as previous situations that have come before them, that I've talked about too, like with Tabitha Brown and her husband, and Idris Elba and his wife. I think sometimes people may share a little bit too much about their personal situations and their relationships. Like, I don't think that Joshua Jackson should have shared that aspect about their relationship publicly, especially if Jodie Turner Smith didn't want that to be shared publicly. I don't know if that's true or not. Um, and the same thing with these slavery themed photos. Perhaps both of them have a kink for slavery theme stuff. That is their business. They have a right to have that kink, if you will. But I don't think it may be the best thing to broadcast, on social media. So I think sometimes people need to be a bit aware of maybe sharing a bit too much. And it's a shame because, we do want people to share, especially celebrities. I think that's part of the reason why social media is appealing, because you kind of do get more access to, celebrities. That's a part of it, of course, right? You know, think about it though. Um, would we feel the same way about Whitney Houston if we had access to her via social media? If social media was popping back when Whitney Houston was popping, right? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. Same thing with like Aaliyah. Would we feel the same way about her, or like Biggie Smalls or Tupac, if we had access to them via social media? Perhaps, maybe, maybe not. Yeah. And also, by the way, I did do a video on Jodie Turner Smith probably sometime in maybe December. I'm thinking it was December 2020. I think so. But yeah, I did a video about her. And I'll put a link to that video in the description. It was a video titled like Jodie Turner Smith, the Bedwench Who Stole Christmas. And I titled it that because a lot of black men felt like Jodie Turner Smith was the bedwench that stole Christmas, because the situation about her going public having a white husband, um, Joshua Jackson, aka Pacey from Dawson's Creek, went public, and she had just, did that whole Slim and Queen and Slim movie thing, right? And was being like the Black Queen up and then like going hard for a Black King. She gonna go through, right? And then it turns out like, oh, you were just acting. You weren't really real about that. Oh, you go home to, oh, a saltine cracker every night. Oh, whoa. We gonna get you turned, Jodie, right? But I did a video about that, and it was pretty much just actually defending her. The title was a bit clickbait, and it worked too, because folks was expecting to drag, huh? Oh, you expecting me to drag a black woman up and down social media? Ah, gotcha. But I'll put a link to that video in the description if you are interested in watching that video and hearing my thoughts on that situation as well. And as far as my thoughts on this situation, or situations, oh, wow. Huh. I feel like the slavery themed photos are worse than the Jodie Turner-Smith proposing to her husband situation. Yeah, that's not the best situation for Swirl World, but this situation is that's a really not a good look. That's really terrible. Um, you know, um, but I don't know what caused Jodie Turner-Smith to propose to her husband exactly. I guess we'll maybe hear about that later on. I don't know what caused this dude to want to participate in a slavery-themed photo, except for maybe a feeling having some sort of a kink for these type of things, or either wanting to desperately fit in. And also the family that he's marrying into, like, okay, fine, you marry into a white family, okay, they could at least not be this racist. Like, it could at least have some sort of decency, right? Some sort of tact at least. But no, they just like, hey, this is what you get. Just get into it or leave. And he's like, I'm gonna jump into it, white daddy. I want your white daughter now. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. It mean I gotta come over here and pick some cotton for this photo shoot. I sure will. No, I sure will. Oh, it mean I gotta go and sleep in the barn outside with the horses and the cows. I sure will, white daddy, if it means being with your daughter. If it means being the family's ninja pet, I sure will. I sure will. If it means being with your daughter, I want the golden Becky. I sure do. I do anything for the golden Becky. That's the golden ticket for me. Right? And then we got Jodie Turner-Smith. She, begging her husband to marry her. Right? She just begging and pleading with her husband and was adamant, quote unquote, as he put it, adamant about, she was adamant about him marrying her, right? Did she have a ring? Was there a ring, Jodie? Did you have a ring there? But, both of these situations are not a good look for the black men and women who swirl. Not the best look. If you trading up Blackistan, you know, and leaving, okay, fine. If opting out of Blackistan, divesting from Blackistan, as we hear these black women love, some of them, these divestment black women, love to come through and say they divested, even though they in black women's spaces, they in black men's spaces, talking about how they divested from Blackistan, even though they clicking and commenting on every video that has to do with Blackistan and the black community and the black people and the black power. Wonderful. All right. If that's what divestment is, then I'm sure plenty of people are divested. But if you're going to be leaving Blackistan, then you need to be leaving Blackistan and going to Swirltopia. You don't need to be trading up Blackistan for Crackistan. All right. And you don't need to be trading up Blackistan for any other type of stand. All right. No Hispanic stands, no Asian stands, not even any Antarctican stands. All right. You need to be going to, Swirltopia. And it's like, well, what exactly is Swirltopia? Well, Swirltopia is, some people feel that it's a fairy tale, but it's a place. I believe, it does exist. Swirltopia does exist. It is a place. Where it's located, I won't put out the location. It's one of those things where it's like Swirltopia kind of like, to an extent, finds you to an extent versus you finding Swirltopia, even though that can be sort of like contradictory to the things that I previously said, but nevertheless, it's true. But Swirltopia, from my perspective, basically would just be just a leaving, kind of like dating out, you know, and dating interracially and having, entering those relationships with wholeness and healthy state of mind and having healthy relationships, you know, positive relationships, you know, relationships that lead to marriage if that's what you want, relationships that lead to um, children as well if that's what you want, relationships that perhaps will offer you some, financial stability if that's what you're looking for, perhaps are hypergamous if that's what you're looking for, basically just leaving our, I shouldn't put it as leaving, but basically, you're complaining, maybe having issues dating in the community, where it's like, okay, well, let me expand my options. And when you do, you shouldn't be expanding your options and still, you shouldn't be, I'll use a metaphor, right? You shouldn't jump out of the frying pan into the fire, right? And basically, you shouldn't leave a bad situation and jump into a worse situation, right? And again, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors when it comes to these people, you know, we don't. But I just have to put that out there, though, nevertheless. So I've gone on for long enough. I'm going to bring this video to a close. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.